So Meghan Markle has decided what she's going to do to save her failing Hollywood career, and you won't be surprised to learn it involves something she's very good at. Indeed, some would say one of the only things she's good at. Taking off her clothes. Yeah, that's right. A raunchy, sexy return.
All right, let's unpack this whole situation in a way that actually makes sense. Because beneath all the noise, there's a very clear narrative being pushed, and a lot of it says more about media spin than reality. So the core claim here is this. Meghan Markle is supposedly considering a provocative return to acting, something more daring, more attention-grabbing, as a way to revive what critics are calling a stalled or struggling Hollywood career.
Is now being offered up by Meghan's agents as she looks for acting roles. And you know, very few of these are coming her way because no one wants the toxicity of a character like Meghan attached to their film. Jeff Bezos gave her one chance with this cameo role. But now Meghan's team are suggesting an alternative, something that could get a lot of column inches for a struggling production. This from Radar Online, quoting a source close to Markle, outlining what they describe as the changing landscape around her career. They say there is a growing recognition that the avenues she once relied on are no longer delivering the same opportunities. Projects have fallen away, deals have changed, and the landscape looks very different now. From her perspective, acting is the one area where she has proven success and credibility, so it feels like the most viable path forward. Then you get the idea of considering what they call provocative roles. Okay, the source confided, there's talk she is actively considering a return that leans into more daring, even raunchy scenes, because she feels she has nothing else to try. At this stage, the sense is that she needs something that will cut through and re-establish her presence in a crowded industry. Another insider said Meghan's ventures just haven't delivered as expected. Acting is where she knows she can perform, and it offers the clearest route back into relevance. There is an acknowledgement on her part now that the range of opportunities available to her has narrowed compared to a few years ago. That's why returning to acting, even in roles that might be seen as more provocative, is being viewed as a practical move to regain momentum and visibility. But Angela Levin, our royal mastermind and Prince Harry's biographer, you know what they say in Hollywood? When you have to rely on stripping off to get a role, it means something has gone very badly wrong with your career.
Now, right off the bat, you got to separate fact, speculation, and commentary, because they're all being mashed together here. The story leans heavily on anonymous sources, classic tabloid playbook, claiming Meghan's team is exploring edgier roles because traditional avenues, brand deals, prestige projects, Netflix productions aren't hitting the same way anymore.
Before, which she is 44, her body is not going to be the same. If she's had 2 babies, which she does say she has, she's not going to have a good figure anyway. Don't tell me they want someone like that. You get all flammy and baggy and all that sort of stuff. Nobody wants someone at that age. They want young women with beautiful bodies. But I mean, if you look at Meghan in her clothes, she does not have a beautiful body. So why will she do it? I mean, it's a desperate thing, isn't it? Absolutely desperate. What it would be from the neck up, lots of kisses and all that sort of stuff. But the body, forget it, unless someone else stands in for her, which does happen sometimes. Not for her, but just generally for older women. They want someone who has got a lovely body. We'll have to watch carefully.
Yeah, indeed. And the problem is, Angela, there's so much with her career that is going badly wrong because we get this new revelation from Paula Frolic that Netflix actually won't allow Meghan and Harry to produce anything on their own anymore. So even though they were totally ecstatic to announce the fact that they were executive producing a script on the Polo drama, the news Frolic reports isn't as great as it sounds. Executive producers are not hands-on. And I'm told, this is Paula Frolic, that Netflix won't allow the couple to work on a project solo anymore after the debacle of the low-rated Archewell shows, which included the docuseries Polo and Meghan's With Love Meghan. And to ensure success, the streamer has parked the couple who won the rights to the show with Josh Schwartz and Stephanie Savage's fake empire, Francesca X. Hugh from the CW's Dynasty, is writing it. And she quotes someone as saying, Netflix realised the upstairs, downstairs look at the incredibly rich and entitled world of Polo is a good idea. It's like a modern Gilded Age or The Crown. But they also know Harry and Meghan could not executive produce alone. So they're basically buying the name from the couple and allowing them to be attached to the product. So, Angela, things aren't as rosy as Harry and Meghan have been trying to make it sound in this briefing. And I always thought the briefing was desperate anyway, because it's like Ted Sarandos has unfollowed you on Instagram. It's like things are not good with Netflix, okay? No matter how hard you try and spin it.
Well, we've had long enough to see how things have worked with her, and they just haven't. So it's all going down the drain. And the fact that she's pretending she can do, if you sort of look, as soon as something goes, she then finds something else, bigger, better, more money, lots more about it. And then, that all dies away, and then something else. It's all sort of phony, isn't it? It's like the trips they do abroad. It's just phony, phony, phony. Instead of saying, well, I've got to try and do something else. It's very difficult for me, but I'm going to try hard. That's it. But she's sort of grand about it all. Perhaps they'll have a polo with sex upstairs. You never know, do you? Because it's got to have some sort of
there'll be a lot
extra thing. They're not going to it's not just outside. They want it with a story. I mean, I think that's possibly the only thing they can do. Otherwise, it's going to be boring.
Well, nothing is working, Angela, because even this week, when she tried to get more personal with the As Ever brand, which is something that lots of people have been saying she needs to do, sort of along the lines of Gwyneth Paltrow and Martha Stewart, like, take us into your life. Actually reveal what you do. Like, make this personal, because people want to buy into you as a creator. I mean, I don't think people really want to buy into Meghan Markle, but that's the sort of authenticity that people want from a creator these days. And so she did send out this email, Angela, and it was headlined Meghan's Easy Entertaining Tips. And the idea was that it's all about her. So she said easy entertaining begins with the hostess. And then her tips were just so lame, like so pathetic and so lame. So here were Meghan's tips. Create an inviting welcome with cheese and charcuterie boards adored with an assortment of jams. That's obviously because she's trying to sell her jam, which isn't even jam, by the way. Remember, it's spread. Raise a glass. Serve cocktails and mocktails in champagne coupes or elevated stemware. Like, seriously? With a garnish of citrus or mint and easy uplift to a casual toast. Who hadn't thought of that? Set the scene. I mean, this is how basic this is. Florals and your favorite playlist complete the scene. Opt for short bud vases filled with tonal blooms or one larger bouquet to create a beautiful ambience. And I'm like, Angela, this is the problem. She just can't really do this stuff. Like, she does have no expertise to impart.
And sure, there's a kernel of logic in that. Hollywood is brutally competitive. Relevance fades fast. If you disappear for a few years or your projects underperform, the industry moves on without you. That's not unique to Meghan. That's just how the business works. So the idea that she might look at acting again as her most viable lane, that part is believable. But the leap to she's going to take her clothes off because she has no other options, that's where things go from analysis into outright character attack. Because let's be honest.
Yeah, but also, I mean, does she really think that people need to have a small vase for a small flower? To be honest, I learnt this a very long time ago, and I didn't need someone to tell me. I use my brain. We don't need her to explain that to us. It's an absolute nonsense. And that's how a lot of the stuff is, as if you're talking to someone who is ridiculous, but she thinks it's so wonderful because she thinks she's wonderful herself. But it's all nonsense, as ever as you please. That's her new title. That won't last. None of it. Little tiny things most people have got, and they don't need her to do it. And they're not interested in her in that. She's lost it, completely lost it.
Now, Angela, you're very annoyed with Tina Brown's suggestion that the royal family should be giving the Sussexes a limited international role, including a Buckingham Palace apartment and UK security, in exchange for their silence on family matters. You don't think this is going to work?
I think it's disgraceful that she could even think of doing that. She wrote in her Substack um, that the family should give the Sussexes limited international role, including a Buckingham Palace apartment, security in exchange, and that all that sort of thing. Now, for goodness sake, they don't deserve any of that. They won't listen to any of that. They're not going to walk in line because somebody has done that. They're there to spoil things, and they're there to make sure that they've got some things to use to either television or radio or whatever they're doing. They're not decent people who will say, thank you, what a lovely idea. They will be snooping round, Meghan will be snooping round Buckingham Palace. And why should they have an international role? Because they'll do it their way. I think they're terrible when they're on these phony trips. We can't give them a real trip because they won't actually do what's supposed to be done when you're in the royal family. So she can't have that. They can't have anything like that. How dare they even think about it? And I thought, some woman as clever as her will know that. Tina is a clever woman. And what on earth is she doing, making the royal family do that? I mean, they've got enough on their plate, haven't they? Without two rascals, middle-aged rascals.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more.
So,
And I just don't think it's a good idea. Now, also this week, Angela, Harry was accused of emotionally blackmailing the king using the children in order to do so over this proposed visit to Sandringham. Now, what was interesting is that Charlotte Griffiths, who's the editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, claimed that a lot of this was in regards to the leak. Remember the leak that had been given to her about this secret meeting last year between Buckingham Palace and Harry's team. This is what she had to say.
He does have a way of contacting him now. There was a time when Harry didn't actually have a way of getting through to his father, and that was really frustrating to him. And famously, the king doesn't have a mobile phone. But now they have made contact. He sent his aide over last July to meet with the king's aide, Tobin Andre. And by the way, when the statement today said, we have learned from bitter experience, I actually think it was that meeting that they're referring to, which was leaked, admittedly by me, in the Mail on Sunday, which probably didn't really help.
It's all your fault, Charlotte.
I know. Such a troublemaker.
Can I just quickly ask, when was the last time that Prince Harry and the King actually met?
They saw each other last September, and I think that Harry wanted to see him again, but it just didn't really work out. And the King's obviously been very busy, and then there's been talk of them maybe meeting in America if the king goes over to go meet Trump, but that's just not going to happen. So I think Harry's getting a bit desperate, and I do wonder whether the aides around him, whether Team Sussex, are actually consulting with Harry before they release these statements to the Sun, because again in the statement from the king today it said Harry's supporters should encourage him to do this privately, and what they're saying, reading between the lines, what the King's secretary there is saying is his aides shouldn't be telling the press. They should be telling Harry, look, do this behind closed doors, and don't use the kids, as leverage, because that's the other thing about the statement that was released. It was basically saying, if you want to see the kids, invite me to Sandringham, and it's not a good look for Harry at all.
That framing says more about the commentators than it does about her actual career strategy. This kind of angle plays into a very specific long-running critique of Meghan Markle, that her success is superficial, that she relies on image over substance, that she's constantly chasing attention, and tying that to provocative roles is a way to reinforce that storyline. But here's the thing. Hollywood is full of A-list actresses who have taken bold, daring, even controversial roles at different stages in their careers. That's not desperation. That's strategy. The difference is, when it's someone like Meghan, it gets framed as decline instead of reinvention. This whole story is less about Meghan Markle's actual career decisions and more about how her every move gets interpreted through a very specific lens. If she does nothing, she's irrelevant. If she tries something new, she's desperate. If she succeeds, it's luck. If she struggles, it's proof she was never talented. That's the cycle. And until that changes, every career move she makes, whether it's acting, producing, or something completely different, is going to be framed as either a comeback or a collapse, when in reality, it's probably just something much simpler. A former actress navigating a complicated public image, trying to figure out her next chapter in an industry that never stands still. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments section. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.